Welcome back to the Perfect Place to Put a Practice podcast. I'm your host, Mike Green with Dr. Demographics. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting growth stories in the country for a lot of years, the greater Phoenix metropolitan area. Arizona continues to attract families, professionals, retirees with its warm climate, business-friendly environment, job growth, and overall lifestyle. The Phoenix Metro has been adding tens of thousands of new residents each year, and that growth is concentrated in a few specific suburbs that are perfect for dental practices. And there's a lot of dental practices that have already joined in, but today I'm going to share with you 5 more options that I think are really great options for new dental practices. Opening a practice is obviously a huge decision. You want to have a location where new patients are moving in faster and the competition is not keeping up. That's generally the equation that you're looking for everywhere, where families are putting down roots and they need a good new provider for their household. You want to look at an area where household incomes support quality care and where long-term economic trends are continuing to be strongly positive. So after analyzing the latest census data, Arizona Office of Economic Opportunity reports, housing permit trends, demographic shifts, here are 5 areas in the greater Phoenix metro that stand out to us here at Dr. Demographics as trending positively economically for practice owners planning to open a new practice in 2027. We're sitting in June of 2026 right now, so we're looking at the bulk of 2027. So we're not going to go in a particular order necessarily. Each one of these have a real strong tailwind. There's some pros to each that are not the same as the others, and we'll get into that a little bit as we go through. But first, let me just do a quick word from today's sponsor, and I'll be honest with you, this one hits really close to home for me. Today's episode is brought to you by Apex AI Labs. Now, Apex AI Labs is actually powered by Dr. Demographics and our world-class data. So I can speak to this firsthand. And here's what makes them different from every other SEO service out there. They're the only ones that I know of that combine real-time demographic data to build your SEO strategies specifically for their clients. But honestly, the SEO piece isn't even really the most exciting part about what they're doing. Here's what you need to understand. For a long time, if somebody wanted to find something, a restaurant, a doctor, a dentist, whatever, they went to Google, right? That's just the way that the world worked. But that's changing, and it's changing really fast. People are now going to ChatGPT, or they're going to Grok, or they're going to, some other AI platform and asking, hey, where should I eat tonight? Or what should I do this weekend? Or yes, who's the best dentist in town or dentist near me? Where should I take my kids for pediatric dental care? We're seeing a massive uptick in exactly these kind of searches. And here's the thing. If your practice isn't being optimized to show up as the recommended answer in those AI responses, you're losing patients right now, not someday, right now. Apex AI Labs takes your demographic data, the same data that we've built Dr. Demographics on, the same data that we've provided for over 10,000 doctors over the last 30 years, and we use that to optimize your website and your entire online presence. So these AI engines are recommending you in your practice. We're generally on the forefront of this shift, and the world is moving really fast. If you're not at the front right now, you're already behind. So if you don't want to get left behind, head over to apexailabs.ai. That's apexailabs.ai, or just shoot me an email directly, mike@drdemographics.com, and I'll personally make sure you're taken care of. Again, that's apexailabs.ai. Okay, let's get back to our greater Phoenix list of some of the best areas for you to open a practice in 2027. So the first one that we'll talk about is probably not a big surprise. Matter of fact, we've been talking about this area for 10 plus years, before really they had a huge boom. We could see all the indicators, and we have been recommending this area for a long time, and that's Queen Creek. Queen Creek in the Southeast Valley, one of the fastest growing, most affluent communities in the entire metro. Recent estimate puts the population at about 84,000, 90,000, with annual growth rates hitting 7, 8%, or even higher in some periods, which is a ridiculous number. The town has more than doubled in population over the last decade and is projected to reach 150,000 at its build out. So, what makes it special for dentists? The median household income is among the highest in Maricopa County. It's about 142,000 to about 155,000. The median age is about 37, with a heavy concentration on young families and well-educated residents. So about 77% have some kind of college or have received their degree. This is a classic family foundation and savvy suburbanite demographic psychographic profile, exactly the patients who value comprehensive care. They're going to take care of their families. They're going to invest in their kids and themselves, both in routine maintenance care as well as cosmetic care. Hundreds of new single homes are permitted every year in Queen Creek. New residents are actively looking for dentists and providers that they can trust for the whole family. So whether you're a veterinarian or an audiologist or a dentist, this is an area where people are actively searching for you. And so you don't have to convince them to come to the office. You just need to let them know where you're at. So the growth has been so rapid that many neighborhoods are still establishing their local healthcare providers. A well-positioned practice here can become the default a provider home for hundreds of new families very, very quickly. So if your ideal patient is educated, if they're higher income, if they have a family, Queen Creek probably deserves a really serious look, and you want to focus your marketing on the new to the area messaging, family friendly branding, and really strong Google and social proof. Queen Creek, don't rest on it. It's a beautiful place, great place to open a new practice. So number 2, Buckeye. Buckeye, it's on the far west side of town. Buckeye is a true growth powerhouse with enormous long-term runway. Current population estimates are about 114,000 to about 125,000, with a consistent 5% annual growth number, which again is a massive number. The city is only about 16 to 17% built out and has entitled land that could eventually support over 1 million residents at some point at build out. Projections show that it's going to reach nearly 194,000 by 2030, and it will continue to be aggressive in its growth. All of the indicators are showing that Buckeye will continue to grow very, very strongly beyond that. So the median household income sits about 99,000 to about 101,000, with a young median age of about 36. This is a really diverse, family-heavy community. There's some huge master plan developments that are bringing in new homeowners every single month. So the city is actively working on expanding the healthcare services. That's a huge push. I know it is for 2027. And if the greater Phoenix area is something you're looking is something you're looking at, Buckeye might be a great place for you to be part of a city government that's really interested in having you open up in town. For a new practice, this is really a get in early on the ground floor opportunity, in our opinion. New neighborhoods are forming. Residents need providers who are convenient to find where they live and they work. So you can build loyalty from the very first day with families that are moving to the area that don't have prior connections to anybody else within the community. Scale here means that you're not just opening one practice, you're positioned to open multi-locations, which Phoenix is such a great area for a multi-practice strategy. Doesn't matter what kind of provider you are. So over the next 10 to 15 years, Buckeye could be a really great option for you. Overhead can be more manageable than in the core of Phoenix. And the sheer volume of new residents creates steady stream of new patient opportunities. So if you like big vision, if you're a get in early kind of a provider, Buckeye could be a really great place for you to consider. Okay, number 3, let's stay kind of in the west side of the valley. Matter of fact, just right next to Buckeye, that's Goodyear. offers a very similar growth story with some really unique advantages. Population right now is about 118,000 to 125,000, growing at roughly about 5% annually. Now, remember, anytime we see an area that's growing over 1% annually, we consider that a very strong grower. So when we have these areas that are growing 8%, 6%, 5%, in this case in Goodyear, those are some really, really strong growth. Median household income is approximately about 103,000 per household. Goodyear stands out for its educated workforce, large developable land within the area, within the city. Has some strong economic anchors like the Major League Baseball spring training facilities are there. That boosts a lot of local commerce and tourism for certain parts of the year. It attracts both young families and professionals, and it gets a lot of exposure during those training camps. And so it's something that we continue to see a lot of people, a lot of families moving to Goodyear from outside of the greater Phoenix area. Lots of new housing, lots of new commercial development happening at a very, very brisk pace. It creates an excellent opportunity for either a general practitioner or a multi-specialty type practice. Families need pediatric care. There's a lot of professionals that are going to support some kind of, cosmetic or elective type services. The combination of the residential growth and the economic activity means that patients are moving in and they're staying there. A practice here can capture both new and old because this area has been kind of slowly growing, slowly ramping up over a quite long period of time. Goodyear gives you a really nice balance of growth trajectory as well as an existing patient base for you to rely on as you continue to grow and capitalize on that new population. Okay, our number 4 recommendation is Surprise. It's Surprise. In the Northwest Valley, okay, Surprise has delivered really consistent, large population gains, and remains one of the strongest growth stories in Maricopa County. The city has a substantial population base with steady annual increases. Median household incomes right now are about 100,000, maybe just a touch more, about up to 102,000. The median age is a little bit older, so right around 40, 41, 42 years old on a median side, so you will see a few more gray hairs in the Surprise area. But that mix is actually really strong for especially general practitioners. You get a lot of young families moving in, looking at the affordable housing and master plan communities. Plus, you have a significant active adult retiree population. That means demand for everything from pediatric all the way up to geriatric care. And so, again, if you're a pediatric dentist or if you're an audiologist or a prosthodontist, that's going to do really well in this area of Surprise. Surprise has room to grow, and it continues to attract residents priced out of some of the closer in areas to the metro side. And so that combination of family growth and aging in place patients there in those active adult communities creates a really diverse and resilient patient mix. So if you want a location that serves multiple life stages, so you can go out and get whatever you want, or maybe you want to diversify in your type of patient that comes to your office, Surprise is probably a really excellent choice. Okay, so let's look at Maricopa, so the city inside of Pinal County. Just south of the core metro area is the city of Maricopa. It's been one of the standout growth areas. The population's has jumped from about 58,000 in 2020 up to about 78,000 recently. Annual growth rates are continuing to come in about 5%. Median household income is about 96,000 with a young median age of around 37. So this is a little bit more of an affordable family market. It's drawing a lot of young families, first-time home buyers from other parts of Phoenix. And so if you have somebody that maybe grew up in the old Scottsdale, Gilbert area, whatever, and parents are rich or whatever, went to school, come back, they want to stay in Greater Phoenix, but they don't have the income quite yet. This area is an area that a lot of those younger families are moving into. Because it's slightly further out, competition is relatively lighter out there, depending on what type of practice you're looking at. But with the influx of new residents to the area, it creates some really good mismatches and opportunity for new practices. So practitioners that are focused on building long-term family relationships, so orthodontists, this is a great area for you. Maricopa offers some really fantastic opportunities. So patients here are often established in their healthcare routines, or they're just starting to establish them. Again, you have a young family who's maybe just had their first couple of kids, and they're trying to decide, okay, what are we going to do with healthcare wise for this family? It gives you an opportunity to not only be a provider and a practitioner, but also an educator. And so you can start building those relationships with those families that are going to pay dividends to you for a very long time. The economics works really well for practice owners. The overhead is probably one of the lower amounts of certainly of any of the areas that we've talked about, but for Greater Phoenix, this is a really great opportunity to look at. If you're looking at that type of population, again, you really can find what you need in those areas. And if we're looking at the 5, you've got Queen Creek for really high income families, Buckeye for massive long-term scale, Goodyear for balanced growth and amenities, and Surprise for multi-generational demand, and then Maricopa for affordable family expansions. All 5 areas have really powerful momentum behind them, from strong population growth, new housing construction, rising or solid household incomes, young family demographics that create ongoing demand for professional services. In each one, new residents are actively looking for new providers that they can trust. And as I always say, location is critical, and not just location because it gets a lot of traffic, but also a location that matches you and your practice philosophy and what you're trying to accomplish. No matter which of these areas you choose, you've got to start your marketing early, at least probably 3 to 6 months before opening, mostly because these areas are not shockers. If anybody's looking at the Greater Phoenix area and wanting to open a practice there, these are areas that I can guarantee that they're probably going to be looking at. You've got to build relationships with the Chamber of Commerce, the local realtors, because they're going to give you access to those new families that are opening up in those areas. Now, as a reminder, Dr. Demographics, we specialize in helping practice owners just like you analyze specific zip codes, specific addresses, and help you understand the competitive landscape so that you know exactly what to do when it comes to marketing, when it comes to hiring, when it comes to practice placement and you being successful. I want to thank you again for listening and for all of your support over our 300 plus episodes. If this episode gave you some valuable insight, or if you know someone that's looking at the Greater Phoenix area, feel free to share this episode with them. And again, we're on all of the podcasting platforms from Apple to Spotify to YouTube, and of course right there on our website, drdemographics.com. And so with that, I'm Mike Green. It's been the perfect place to put a practice podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode very, very soon.